Hello Internet, this is my Lumix G95 review in 2024. Right off the bat, I would like to state my opinion of this camera. The Lumix G95 is an underrated camera that is also overpriced. You have to be in a very particular niche to find this camera attractive in today's market. In today's video, I'll first explain how I found my niche for this camera in 2024. Then we delve into the technical review. Why did I get it in 2024 while owning the G9, G9 Mark II, S1R, all better cameras than G95? Have I gone mad? The motivation was that I needed a lightweight, doable video camera to shoot tennis videos for over 1 hour at a time without overheating. I needed good 1080p, 60p video quality. I don't shoot long format tennis videos in 4K, so I'm not worried about 4K crop on a G95. Both G9 and G9 Mark II are better video cameras in terms of specs, but G9 very unfortunately has a 30 minutes recording limit, and it overheats if I restart recording right after 30 minutes. G9 Mark II also tends to overheat a little bit under the sun, shooting for over 1 hour straight when I'm using standard overheating protection setting. Alternatively, I can use the S1R to shoot unlimited 1080p 60p video, and it never overheats. Downside though is that it is too big and heavy. Remember that I want to use a cheap camera for this kind of work, not expensive ones like G9 Mark II and S1R. I don't ever want to risk damaging or losing expensive gear like these on tennis court when I don't always have my eyes on them all the time. So I set out to find the perfect camera based on the following conditions. 1. Unlimited recording time. 2. Great 1080p video quality. 3. Compact, lightweight. 4. Rugged and weather sealed. I often find myself in mini sandstorm situation. When the clay courts are dry, I'd hate to get dust inside a G9 Mark II or S1R, but for G95, being cheap and replaceable, I won't sweat over it. And number 5, bonus point, it has vlog built in. I also tried GoPro for tennis videos, but the fixed ultra-wide lens is not very versatile, and sometimes I need to zoom in a little bit and reduce the image quality quite a lot. Also, I had an incident where the footage got all shredded up and messed up for some reason I still haven't figured out. I'm a little bit apprehensive about trusting GoPro for a long recording without being able to check the footage. So GoPro is no go, no pro now. I checked MPB under $500. There are two options, EM1 Mark II and G95. EM1 Mark II has phase detect autofocus and in general is just a better camera. I was tempted, but it doesn't have unlimited recording time. And also the 1080p videos on EM1 Mark II or any Olympus camera for that matter is hot garbage. It's so bad. So yeah, in the end, G95 is the final choice. With the background story out of the way, let's begin with the full review. First, let's talk about the build, design, and its difference from G9 and G9 Mark II. G95 feels a lot lighter in hand than G9 or G9 Mark II. It follows its predecessor G85's body design. It's smaller, marginally more compact, but the build still feels premium. I really like the rubberized thumb grip, which is in metal in all my other Lumix cameras. So this one actually feels extra comfortable because the thumb is resting nicely against elastic, soft material rather than hard plastic and metal. I like that there's a button in the center of the black dial. It's present also in G85, but not anymore in later, more premium Lumix cameras, which is a shame. The lack of joystick is a bummer. I usually am not picky about joysticks, but this time around I actually miss it on G95. The control wheel is too close to the back screen. When I press left on the wheel, my thumb also presses against the screen, which feels annoying. This has never been an issue on my other Lumix cameras, either because there's more space in between, or the control wheel protrudes a little more so that even when you press it all the way down, your thumb still won't touch the screen. When holding the camera, my pinky finger rests very nicely on the taper base of the camera. Actually feels very comfortable, more comfortable than any other cameras where the grip is straight vertical down. I don't know if it's intentional, but on the G95 it feels like it's made for my pinky to rest. Very nice. The body is also fully weather sealed. I took it on a rainy day shoot and it worked without hiccup. Except when the raindrops hit the touch screen, it changes the focus point. Maybe I need to disable touchscreen for such occasion. Overall, it's a great build. Nice premium quality at a compact size. It has quite a few ergonomic advantages over newer, more premium Lumix camera models. The only annoying part is the left side of the control wheel. For the current price, you will be surprised by how well made this camera is. Let's talk about autofocus, very important. Continuous autofocus seems to track human pretty well in motion, since it does have human detect mode. However, when it comes to shooting animals, it gets much more challenging, as there is no animal detection mode. Sometimes I burst shoot 20 pictures and only get 1 or 2 sharp shots, and sometimes I get 1 or 2 blurry shots out of 20. Very unpredictable behavior. When the subject is stationary and well distinguished from the environment, it usually focuses pretty well. However, when the subject is moving or staying in between complicated foreground, background, the camera will lose track of where to focus on. The camera is nearly helpless when you are shooting moving animals. Might as well stick to single autofocus instead of continuous autofocus. Overall hit rate at the cat shelter today was just over 50%. Miserable score. Well below the G9, GH6, or G9 Mark II are capable of. GH6 can hit above 80% I think, and G9 Mark II over 95%. The buffer is really small. I shoot at highest speed with mechanical shutter. It stops shooting after just a few seconds. Maybe 20-30 shots, RAW plus JPEG. With the G9 Mark II, it easily gets over 100 shots and more, maybe 200 maybe. I tried UHS 2 card and it did not help at all. So yeah, definitely not a wildlife photography camera. Surprisingly though, it performs really well in my 1080p 60p video test, which matters more for me. The autofocus holds on to the subject very well. If the scene is confusing, there might be some hunting in high contrast areas, but otherwise it's relatively steady and trustworthy for casual work. It's definitely not close to phase detect autofocusing anyway, but I'll admit that I can look past the occasional huntings in vlogging situation. Totally not an issue for me. The shutter sound is more subdued and soft, very pleasing. I like it much better than the shutter sound on other Lumix cameras. The white balance and color size is not as well tuned as on the flagship cameras like G9. The G95 images remind me of early Sony camera color size, a little bit. The image comes out with a little green tint. It might take a few extra steps to get it right, but if you don't shoot with 2 cameras side by side, you might not even realize that the white balance is off on the G95. I've tested this with the different camera and lens combos, and the G95 consistently gives more greenish pictures. Low light performance. G95 performs really well in low light situation for photo as well. I tested a bunch of shots at f4, not too high and not too low for an aperture. As long as you keep shutter speed low, you're going to get a nice, clean, crispy image, even at ISO 3200, thanks to the fantastic IBIS in this camera. Even at 6400 ISO, it's still usable, I would say. I would put ISO upper limit to 6400 for casual shooting. Beyond 6400, you need full-frame cameras. Back in the days, ISO 6400 was really the limit of any camera, no matter the sensor size, except for the Sony A7S series. But since 2018 and 2019, all camera sensors have evolved to a point where they no longer rely on low megapixel sensor to get good low light performance. So with a modern full frame camera, you can comfortably shoot at 12,800 ISO, whereas this G95 being technically 2 steps behind in terms of sensor light capturing capability, it can handle upper limit 6400 ISO pretty well, so it's doing a decent job in low light. The low light video performance on G95 though, it's a completely different story. If you compare it to the G9 Mark II with a dynamic boost built in, the G9 Mark II just blows the G95 footage out of the water. The difference in 1080p video is rather dramatic, as you can see here. In 4K recording, the G95 generates much cleaner image than 1080p recording, as per usual for any camera actually. In summary, G95 is kind of a bridge between high-end and low-end interchangeable cameras. Putting on fancy glass, like the Leica 10-25 f1.7, it can pass as a high-end Micro Four Thirds camera. If you put small compact prime like Lumix 20mm, it can be a compact casual street camera. Lightweight and compact, really versatile and has muted magnificence. I even spent some extra money for a battery grip to extend its battery life for long format video recording. Even with a grip, it doesn't weigh all that much. In summary, based on the poor performance in continuous autofocus in photoshoot and a weaker color science, I guess it's just gonna be a video camera for me, which is exactly the reason I bought it for. To make long clips of videos with a budget camera that won't overheat, and I won't worry too much about damaging it, because it's cheap and doable and weather sealed and replaceable, and has pretty decent autofocus in video. Overall, I think it excels in video making, especially for 1080p video for a mid-range Panasonic camera from 2019. In stills department, it's fully capable but doesn't really have anything special to show compared to my flagship cameras, but that's fine by me. The ergonomics is really comfortable. The compact size plus rubberized grip makes it the most comfortable Micro Four Thirds camera I've ever held. One could argue that the original G9 has better ergonomics, but that's speaking in terms of functionality and practicality. It just has so many bells and whistles. If we just compare the comfort in hand, the G95, in my opinion, is slightly better. Overall, it is an underrated gem, a lot of small details that deserve admiration. But at the same time, paradoxically, it is still overpriced. From the day it was released, even till today with heavy discount. If you check the specs against the G9 or GH5 at about the same price, the latter will give you much better value for money. So what went wrong with the Lumix G95? I think the excessive crop in 4K mode really is a fatal flaw. It could have been a camera to dominate amateur video making sphere in 2019, but the massive crop definitely scared many potential customers away, either to other systems or resort to older G85. What a shame for Panasonic. The G95 could have been a killer video camera. Plus the release price was way too high. This camera was born to flop. For photographers, I'd highly recommend to skip this camera to pick the G9, which is literally superior in every single way, at only a slightly higher price. Except for built-in vlog and unlimited recording time, but those are video features. On the other hand, the GH5 is also getting really cheap these days, about $500. It is a much better video camera than G95, only missing the built-in vlog. So yeah, even at $400, the G95 is still in a very awkward market position. Not high-end enough to be worth the money, not cheap enough to pull amateur crowd away from older models like the G85. At the end of the day, people buy camera mostly based on the raw performance per money spent. If you happen to fall into the niche that a G95 can provide, then you're going to love this camera. Otherwise, it's very hard to recommend. That is my review and my thoughts on the Lumix G95/G90. Thank you for watching.